Well, thank you, Alexis, for joining us today on this episode of the MoMMAs Voices podcast. And this season, we are spending all of our time talking to people with lived experience, our patient family partners, or PFPs, we call them, and getting them an opportunity to share about their experience. I'm giving them a platform to use their voice and to help to educate other folks. And so I want to thank you again before we even get started, just for coming on and joining us and being brave about opening up about some of your experience.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to chat with you.
Awesome. So let's dive in. As we are always, doing these trainings and having these discussions, we like to start with like the end in mind. What is it, if you could have the listener today take one thing away from what you want to share, what would be that message? What is one thing you want them to hear from you today?
Yeah. This question brings me back to teaching because I feel like we used to say this in the classroom all the time. What do you want to happen in the end? Start there. I feel like for me though, the biggest thing is just like your story matters and your baby's story matters, and we should talk about these things.
Mhm.
That's it's
Excellent.
short and sweet, but I feel like that's like the bottom line is it's okay to talk about these things and yeah.
Awesome, because we so oftentimes like people get shy. They don't want to hurt you, or I mean, I think some people are well-intentioned. I know I've had family members
Oh
that
yeah.
I just have to keep telling myself they mean well. They
Yeah.
just don't know how to say anything better. And I think that goes also for the same for healthcare teams and quality improvement teams. They're so worried that they don't want to re-traumatize somebody, that sometimes that like perfection gets in the way of any progress.
Yeah. And
And
I feel like
so,
I'm already sad about about what happened and what went on. Like I might appear not to look sad anymore, but like it's always there. So bringing it up isn't going to make anything worse. I'd rather, get rid of the elephant in the room and actually talk about these things.
mhm, awesome. Well, that's a great point to start off with and to talk about your advocacy journey. As you've been doing this, we'll talk about your pregnancy experience and your journey there. But like as far as advocacy goes, is there a moment that, or what moment in your journey to becoming a maternal health patient family partner really stood out in your mind?
I feel like there's two for me. I can start by saying, like, I never in a million years saw myself going down this path until I myself was in the experience I went through. So every time I like talk about anything like this, I'm still always like shocked that this is my life and I'm talking about these things and trying to make things better for other people in this field. It's just still so new to me. But there are two things. I would say the first one is we were really excited, my husband and I. Excited is always a weird word to use. I feel like maybe excited isn't the right word, but I guess honored and proud of ourselves. We really advocated after our son passed. We really pushed to get some type of grieving space for parents in the NICU because we did not have that. So we worked with our hospital and they were super open to everything that we had to say and validated all of our feelings, which was really great. And I was actually away on I had switched careers and I was away on my first work trip and got the call from the hospital that the room was all set and they are displaying our son's story in the room. And like all of that kind of happened because of the waves we made, which we're really proud of. And then the other one I would say is I'm co-chairing the Promise Walk on Long Island for preeclampsia and seeing people join the walk and start teams that like my co-chair and I will be like, do you know this person? And we have no idea who they are. So just knowing that like what we're doing is reaching people that are outside of our immediate circle and being able to connect with people that have gone through similar experiences. And I feel like that's what this is all about is educating and raising awareness and the fact that we're able to spread it again, like outside of our inner circle, outside of the family and friends. And like we see people joining that's like, oh, I have no idea who this person is, but like I'm excited to connect with them.
And hosting a promise walk in itself can be very healing.
Yeah.
for you. I did it for 10 years. And so it was like
Where did you do
finding some
it?
purpose. I did. I always did it for 10 years in Dallas.
Where was
So
it? Oh, in Dallas?
in Dallas, yes. And so, it was very, like I said, healing. Like it gave some purpose to what we went through and as a way to honor and like build a legacy.
Yeah.
I tell people that have had losses, like, find something find something that's meaningful to you to build a legacy, whether that is doing something like a fundraiser, an awareness event like a promise walk, or writing, blogging, doing art, like whatever that is, like find an outlet that you can use and build that because it helps to bring some meaning to the tragedies that some of us go through.
Yeah, I feel like that's spot on because my husband and I were always like we were sitting in our therapy sessions and we're like, this can't just be about that. Like, our son's life can't just be a sad story. Like, we have to bring something else to this. But then it's like a double-edged sword because you don't want to feel like you have to do like these huge, extravagant things, which it doesn't have to be that, but we knew like we wanted to do something in his honor because we didn't just want this to be like sad what happened. It is sad, but we want to
Hmm.
make meaning of it too.
Hmm. Totally get it. And it can be something as planting a tree or
Exactly.
flowers, whatever it is. We've done some really neat things over the years just to honor and remember our son as well. So that's a lot, like for your advocacy journey too, and just how things have kind of gotten started. And I love the fact that you were able to work with the hospital and find a way to better serve families than you had, like help the next person's experience. And that's so meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, we were very lucky in our whole hospital experience in terms of the care I received and the care our son received. But like everything, I don't want to say everything was perfect because obviously we didn't have the ideal outcome there, but we know that everything that could have been done was done, and like we feel confident and at peace with that. But that last day we were there, it was just like, I mean, it was the worst day imaginable. And our son's in surgery. It's a life or death situation. And we have people in the tiny, tiny, tiny waiting room with us that had like 3 chairs in the NICU, like coming in with their babies, like, oh, we graduated the NICU, we're going home. And there's just like success stories everywhere. And we're sitting there like, we don't know if we're making it out of here with Lincoln. Like we don't know if he's making it through the night. And there was like a very vivid memory for both of us where a woman was in there who was just a couple of days postpartum and had a C-section, and she was sitting in one of the chairs that she had every right to be sitting in, but one of the doctors came in and wanted to update us on Lincoln's surgery, and she didn't want to leave because she was still recovering and she needed to be sitting there. And the doctor was like, I can't give them their information like with other people in the room, like HIPAA, the whole thing. And it was just like a whole, yeah, it was just like a thing that didn't need to be a thing, especially in that moment. And it wasn't until like a few months post Lincoln passing that we were able to like really sit and process and be like, what could have been done differently? And like that's just the one thing for us, right? There needed to be a space, like a safe space that people can go in. And so we're really proud of that came out in Lincoln's honor.
I love that, and I love his name.
Thank you.
And that's something that will be there, until the hospital changes its facilities, but it's something
Yeah.
that will last, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful tribute to him. Looking back at your pregnancy experience, having preeclampsia and help and a baby in the NICU, you talked about something that you would like to have had happen differently that you could change, that you could influence. But were there any things that were or warning signs that something was wrong during her pregnancy? Like what got you to the point of having an early delivery and a baby in the NICU?
Yeah, I mean, it was my first pregnancy, first and only. For the most part, everything was pretty normal. I had like some bleeding early on, but was checked out and everything was fine, got checked out by like every MFM, everyone, and everything was fine. It was just there was no reason, I guess, for why that happened. And that was early on. And then one of my blood tests had came back like a little abnormal, one of the genetic testing, but it was like in the very borderline range. And they had done like extra testing to make sure to like rule out spina bifida and all of those things. But everything was normal again. So my doctor at that point said, like, we are going to make sure we like carefully monitor and make sure there nothing else, because this could be like a warning sign. Maybe down the line there could be something. But symptom wise, I was fine. My blood pressure was always fine. Never had any issues. I was teaching at the time, elementary school. So on my feet all day and just like assume that my swelling and headaches were from my class and working. So I would say my symptoms started probably around like 24 weeks when I couldn't like wear shoes to work anymore. And I literally showed up to work it was right before Christmas break. So I showed up in like the Grinch slippers because shoes wouldn't fit me anymore. And I'm like, this is fine. This is normal. I'm just standing a lot. And it also was like the holiday chaos. So it was like, just got to get through the holidays. But then, like, none of my rings would fit. My hands were swelling. And I kept saying to my husband, I'm like, my clothes fit me yesterday and they don't fit me today. Like, this is weird. I feel like I literally just put this shirt on and now I can't put it on. So definitely noticed swelling overall, but again, first pregnancy. So I'm like, it's fine. But what got me was Christmas night. So the night after Christmas, we got home like from family and I just like couldn't breathe for anything. And just remember pacing our apartment the whole night. Like, this is so like I can't maybe it's a cold I'm getting, like is it anxiety? I know I'm feeling really anxious about things. And my husband woke up the next morning and found me in the kitchen just like hunched over, completely not able to breathe at all. So we called my doctor and I had a raging headache that I just kept saying was from crying. So we called our doctor and she's like, I'm sure everything's fine, but go to the hospital just to get checked out. She knew nothing was fine. Definitely knew that things were not fine, but tried her best to keep me calm. But I would say the breathing was the biggest, like, something's wrong here. Like, something's definitely not right. Like, the swelling and the headaches and all of that was like alarming, but the breathing was really what was like, this is scary. Like, I couldn't lay down at all because I kept saying I felt like I was drowning if I laid down. And then sure enough, when we got to the hospital and they checked out my lungs, they were all filling with fluid. So guess it made sense why I felt like I was drowning.
Mhm.
But yeah, when we got
Yeah.
there, my blood pressure was like well into the 200s. And yeah,
Mm.
and I just kept saying, I'm just stressed. I'm just anxious. I'm nervous, thinking that, yeah, just naive in the situation, even to the point when like
Mhm.
NICU doctors were coming in and were like, we have to deliver your baby, this is what's going to happen. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going to make it though let's get to 26 weeks because I was 25 weeks when I delivered. But by that night, I was in an emergency C-section.
Mhm. Mm. It is so easy as a first time pregnancy to think, ah, this is normal.
Right.
And we started calling it like normalizing bias. And either like your doctors and your care team were on top of it and jumped in and helped. But sometimes it's easy to say, oh, that's just like part of pregnancy. Oh yeah, you're gonna swallow a little bit. Oh, you're gonna have like, baby's big and not being able to breathe. But like I'm so thankful that your team calmly got you in to
Yeah.
get the treatment that you needed as well. It's so tough. And that time of year is so tough. So what's his birthday?
Lincoln was born December 26th, 2023, so day after Christmas. Makes the holidays very fun for us now.
My son's birthday was December 28th.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I completely understand.
Yeah, holidays, man.
Every year it's just we're let's see, this year is 26. Sorry, I'm trying to math on live camera what it feels like, and mathing live is not my thing.
Tough when
He
you're under
was born
pressure.
in, in 2005, so this year will be 20 years.
Wow.
And it still is tough. It's still tough. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to say it gets easier because I feel like it just gets more manageable, I guess.
exactly.
Like easy isn't the
Exactly.
right word because it by no means is any of this easy, but
Hmm.
you have to keep moving forward also. Not on, but
Like
forward.
one of the things I've always, like, okay, building a legacy and finding out that is when I talk to families that have had loss, it's also like any kind of loss, and it doesn't have to be like losing a child, but the first year is always really hard. Like you don't know what to expect when
Hmm.
those holidays, when the milestones hit. Like you, for me, like I have a lot of anxiety. And so it's just like you didn't know how you were going to respond, how your body was going to respond, what you were up for or not. And it's not that it gets easier. It's just like you're able to prepare better every year, a little bit more. Like, okay,
Yeah.
last year this wasn't good. This is what I can do to help minimize my own stress or those around me. I can have an exit plan. I can, do all these things. And it gets to the point where it feels like it's easier, but it's just because you're better prepared in how you're managing yourself.
You have like your little toolbox of coping strategies. The exit plan, my personal favorite is an exit plan.
Exit plan. Oh, yes, the exit plan has been used. So sorry, family, gotta go. And
Yep,
yes, I need to control the situation a little bit because I don't know how I'm going to respond, but I need to go.
exactly.
Oh, it takes me back. It takes me back to those some of those hard days. And it's like I said, it just doesn't get easier. Now I'm to the point where like some of the big milestones have hit, like, oh, he would have been graduating high school. And,
Oh,
it's like those kind of things that have really hit. So, it's always going to be a thing. It's
yeah,
always going to be a thing.
the milestones are tough for just like the obvious, like, oh, it would have been his first birthday. But I feel like the extra tough part for me personally, I don't know if you can relate to this, but like I was pregnant with so many of my closest friends. So now
Yeah.
watching them celebrate their baby's milestones when it's like, well, Lincoln should also be celebrating those same milestones. That's a tough one.
Yep.
That one hasn't gotten
Uh,
any easier. And I don't anticipate
no,
it getting easier.
no, it's still really tough.
Yeah.
That part is really hard. And people don't get it. They don't
No.
get it at all. How is that still hard? Because there's one missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. There was a question I was thinking of.
It'll come back to you.
It'll come back to me. They always come back to me, probably at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Just text me, I'll answer. It's fine. I'm
Oh,
usually up. So,
I remember now. I remember now. It came back
okay,
quick.
good.
So were you teaching, you said elementary?
Yeah, at the time I was teaching fourth grade.
Okay. Fourth grade. Oh, okay. Yes, fun times.
Mhm.
Um, so did you go back to teaching after, or is that when you decided to leave that and change careers?
So I taught for about 12 years before I got pregnant. Most of my time I taught middle school math for special ed students and then ended the last couple of years teaching general ed fourth grade. I just felt like my after I wasn't I post COVID, I felt like there was a part of me that my heart wasn't in it anymore in teaching. There had been so many shifts in the education world, and for lack of better terms, it just wasn't fun anymore. So much of the fun was taken out of it. I had like the most perfect class the year before I had Lincoln. And it was like the most perfect school year I could have ever asked for. And I still was going home every day being like, I don't know if this is for me forever. Like, I cannot see myself doing this for 30 more years. And like, this is a lot. So I was already like toying with the idea of trying to find something else. But when you're a teacher, it's a lot of like, okay, I teach, what else can I do? Like my degree's in teaching, my master's is in teaching. What else? There's there's nothing else for me to do with a teaching degree. So it was like, this is a good job. Like I should just stay. So I was pretty locked in with that. Then I had Lincoln, and when we were in the NICU with him every day, it was like I will never leave his side. Like there is no way I'm going back to the classroom. Like after everything him and I have been through, I am not leaving leaving him. I kept joking that like he was going to be a Velcro baby. Like he was going to be Velcroed to me 24/7, and we were going to make him a little only child who gets called like that gets picked on for being an only child. But obviously that didn't play out the way we anticipated. But after everything that happened, I was like, my heart, there is just no way my heart is in this anymore. I can't go in and take care of other people's kids. And with what I'm going through, like there was no way. So I took time off. So I had Lincoln in December. He passed the end of January, and I was on leave for majority of that year. So that rest of that school year, so through June. And then that summer I got hired to do like some part-time remote work. And so started doing that. Once I knew I had something else lined up, even though it was just part-time, we knew like we were gonna figure it out and make it work. I resigned from that. There also was just like that big piece of I the thought of going back into my classroom, the last place where it was like before the whole world blew up and everything kind of blew up for us and our family, like I couldn't put myself back in there. Like the trauma of that was just really hard. So I resigned from teaching like July of last summer. And since then, now I work for a nonprofit publishing company full time. So I work for them and I work in like the educational sales side of it. So it's nice to still be in the education world, but on the other side and not necessarily in the classroom. And I'm
It's
definitely happy with my decision.
good. I mean, it's so interesting to me to talk to folks and like I relate this as like it's not people like, oh, it's life changing. Like, mm-mm. This is foundational changing. Like this
Yeah.
changes who you are as a person, as a human being, how you respond to things. It just changes so much that just can't be really put into words.
Yeah.
And like even this, like, okay, I've been doing this since 2018, but I was a Promise Mark chair for 10 years. I was a volunteer at the foundation. Before that, I worked in corporate America, and at that time, like I was there when we lost our son and I was still in the same job when I left there. But if what hadn't happened to me, if we hadn't lost Cooper, I wouldn't be in this position that I'm in today. I wouldn't be impacting the people that are being impacted. You and I wouldn't be having this conversation if both of us hadn't had this experience. And so, in a way, it gives me some encouragement to know, like, yes, I want him here. I miss that
Yeah.
every day. It's really hard, but I also acknowledge like how different my life has been because of him.
Yeah. And I
And
feel
some
like
of it's in a good way.
it's like that's so true. And I feel like that's what I was touching on, like right when we first started. Like I never could have seen myself down this path, like
Mhm.
ever. But that was also a big part of me resigning from teaching was like I know my passions have changed now. Like my
Mhm.
passion isn't in the classroom anymore. And there's things that I just want to put more of my energy into. And I know if I go back into the classroom, I won't have the like capacity or the space to be doing what I want to be doing. Like I know if I went back in the classroom, I wouldn't have been planning this promise walk. Like I wouldn't have had the capacity to do that. But it
Mhm.
really is like crazy how like one thing can just change your whole trajectory of life, like
Mhm.
completely.
Mhm.
But like I also for me, I don't know if you relate to this, but I felt like I needed a change where people weren't looking at me as like there's a sad person whose baby died. And
Mm.
a career change definitely helped with that. I mean, maybe some avoidance also, but like I would run into coworkers like in the supermarket or at a store and they just start crying when they saw me. And it's like
Mm.
Number one, I'm sad enough. I don't need to comfort someone else when they're crying.
That part.
I like I just don't want to be known as the sad person. Like I just don't want that to be my whole identity is that like, oh, there's Miss LaVacca, her baby died last year. Like
Mhm.
I needed something different. I needed a clean slate.
Totally understand. We have somebody else on our team that was a teacher, and after her stillbirth, she was like, I couldn't teach anymore. Just, and
No,
I completely get it. And this is also a time when teachers are leaving the field like crazy and just so
yeah.
many changes. I completely understand. And glad you found something that could
Yeah.
still like connect and tie in without having to be in a classroom.
Exactly. Like that was my whole thing. I'm like, I still want to stay in the education world. Like I'm still invested in education. I just need a different perspective of it. Like I need to be on the outside of it,
Hmm.
not the front line of it.
So we talked a little bit about like not we talked a lot about like your pregnancy experience and what happened there. I wanted to talk about support. So, you know, how has this impacted you mentally and emotionally? I mean, it's a huge, like I said, like your whole thing, your whole foundation is who you are
Yeah.
changes. What would you say has like maybe impacted you as well?
I mean,
Anything else?
I would say prior to my pregnancy, in terms of like mental health and like my emotional well-being and things like that, I would say I was fairly stable. Would like I never really struggled in that department, which I know I'm very privileged to say that. But after was definitely not the case. I remember standing at Lincoln's NICU bed, like early on, one of like probably like the first week that he was in there. We were in there for 29 days. So like the first week, and the social worker came over to me and was like, what are you doing for yourself? Like, we need to make sure that you're okay. And I was like, nothing. I'm not even healed. I'm rolling out of bed every day to get in the car, going up and down the stairs, like still with my C-section staples in and getting here to sit with Lincoln. And I would just get there and just cry all day, the whole day. And she was like, have you talked to your doctor about medication? I think it might be something to think about. And I feel like it was a tough, no pun intended, tough pill for me to swallow. Knowing that like, all right, I need some help in this department now. Like I need to maybe I can't do this just on my own. So I was thankful to have that open conversation with the social worker, but then also my doctor who was able to prescribe me some medication to mellow me out and calm things down a little bit. So I'm very happy about that. But again, like I had the prescription for like a week before I was like, I can't take this. Like, I feel like I shouldn't take it. I feel like there's a stigma. I've never had to think about taking something like this before. But finally, it was just like, this is silly. There's no harm. So I started
No.
taking that, and then that definitely has helped me. It also, I feel like, was tough for me to like process, like, okay, I'm definitely dealing with depression and all of those things that come along with it because it was like I'm still getting out of bed every day. I'm still getting out of bed and like doing what I need to do. Like I'm getting up, I'm showering, I'm like we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing and I feel like there's that stereotype in your head of like, oh, if you're depressed, you're just out for the count. Like you're in bed, you're not getting up. And like that goes for when we were going back and forth to the NICU and after losing Lincoln because it was never like I just need to lay in bed all day and cry. So I feel like it was tough for me to like accept that like this is still a struggle. Like even though I'm not just laying here and being miserable, just because I can get up out of bed and like function doesn't mean I'm okay. And then my husband and I had our first therapy session ever the day after Lincoln's funeral. And that has been like huge for us, especially for me like I absolutely adore my therapist and I feel like she has helped me cope so much. But again, like something I never thought I would need. Like I never saw myself as the person like taking medication to help with their mental health and like going to a therapist regularly. Like it just never, I never thought of myself like that. Nothing against it. I just didn't think I guess I never felt like I needed it, but then it was very clear I did need it once all of this happened.
Sometimes you just need to be given permission. Like it's okay.
Uh,
It's okay. I mean, I'm still on medication because
oh
if I
yeah.
don't, like the times I've
Oh
tried to not be on it, there's like this fire breathing dragon inside of me.
yeah, we need to keep that beast tamed. There's no
Yes, yes. And she likes to come out and like just annihilate everybody if I'm not. So, it's for everybody's best interest.
Yeah, that's
Um,
I feel the exact same way. Like this is for everybody should be thankful that this is happening.
it's like public service.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like you mentioned earlier, like having tools in your toolbox. It's taken me so long to recognize where those tools are. And so some of them, naturally, some of them, I don't know where I picked them up. And some of them, it was like, oh, yeah, medication is a tool, just like
Yeah.
therapy is, and so it's okay. It's okay if
Yeah.
it's a short time. It's okay if you don't. And it's okay if you're on it for TBD, it's all
Yeah.
right.
And it's like I said, there's such a stigma against it, but now like there just shouldn't be. If you should be able to get the support and the help you need.
Hmm. Yes. I'm so glad that you found those support avenues and things like that. Has there been was there a moment where you felt particularly like seen or heard?
Hmm. Let me think. I feel like not like I don't want to say not specifically, but I don't feel like at any point of this journey, I don't feel like I was not heard. Like I feel like throughout this whole journey from like the start of getting pregnant until where I am now and like continuing, I do feel like I am so lucky and blessed with the people I'm surrounded by. And I know that that's a privilege that not everybody has. I would say there was a few, there was one instance where I like reached my breaking point of someone saying everything happens for a reason and I lost it. And I would say it was the first time. No, I wouldn't say the first time during the journey, but like I got really angry, like really, really angry at it. I think it was a matter of like the buildup of so many people saying those things of everything happens for a reason. They're in a better place. You know the list, the really terrible list that no one means intentionally, but it hurts. And I really like laid it out there how I felt. And I to this person and I feel like it finally got across and things have changed since then. So I definitely feel like at that moment I was heard and I don't want to say I was misunderstood, but maybe things weren't being accepted the way my husband and I were handling our grief. And I feel like I finally got through at that moment. Because some
Mhm.
people like to just push these things under the rug and pretend things never happened and don't want to talk about it. And from the start, we were like, that is not going to be the case with us. Like, Lincoln's our son. Like, his pictures will be up. We will talk about him. And that's just how it's going to be.
Absolutely. And I think too that everybody grieves differently. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to remember that, but like everybody does it differently. And, we listen and we don't judge. Like we have to.
But I'm probably judging.
I am probably judging. I know every time I see one of those, I laugh because like I'm definitely judging. But when it comes to people like grieving, like it's
Yeah,
just everybody has something different and
totally.
having to be okay with that. It's really hard for people to hear if they're upset with somebody who's not grieving the same way they are. And I'm like, you know, everybody's
Yeah.
different.
And like, I've definitely had to just get over the fact of like this makes people uncomfortable. Like nobody wants to talk about a baby who passed away. But like it's reality. It's not this is our real life. And if you can talk about what your baby is doing now, I want to be able to still talk about my baby too.
Hmm. The hardest thing is when people ask me like, how many children do you have? And it's always been hard.
Oh, so
It's still
I
hard. And I'm like, what do I say?
I know. So I literally, like an hour ago, someone I follow posted literally that exact like thing on their Instagram story, and I reposted it in my story. So it's funny you bring that up, but I travel for work now, and I was just in North Dakota for work and was sitting in the hotel bar with like by myself, and a couple of other women like sat next to me, and we were just chatting, and that question comes up, and it's always immediately like, all right, well, I'm totally about to kill the mood with this, but I'm not gonna lie, but I'm going to totally just throw them for a loop by saying what I'm about to say. And you really never know the reaction you're going to get. But
Mhm.
I was thankful that the two ladies I was sitting next to were very open and accepting to talk about things. But yeah, that's a tough question. You really, and it's a question you don't think is tough until you're in a situation like this. I feel like it's the first thing you ask new couples you meet. You met like, oh, how many kids do you have? Like once people enter that age where it's like they could have kids, like they're age appropriate to have children, it's like a normal conversation, but yeah, that's a tough one.
I will say out of all this, my mom has learned to stop asking like young married couples or newly married, like, when are you gonna have kids? Like she
No.
doesn't ask that anymore because it's also one of those like,
Yeah.
oh, so when are you gonna think about that? It's like you don't know what's happening behind the scenes and the
Yeah.
struggles that
Yeah.
happen. It's always so hard to answer some of those questions. And
Yeah. And like I
and,
said,
I- and I've had times where I'm like, I don't want to make this person uncomfortable. Like depending on if it's like a quick passing, and I'm like,
yeah,
like it's not worth the dealing with the fallout from that. And then
right.
I'll just like, I know he's here, and I remember him every day.
Yeah, it's like I said, like, anytime it comes up, I'm always like, oh man, I'm about to really lay it on. Like that was a big part of like my transition out of teaching too, like when I was interviewing for new jobs. And it was
Mm,
always a question was like, well, why are you leaving teaching? Like why are you looking to transition? And I'm so thankful that like where I landed now where I'm working was so appreciative of like my openness, and I was like, I'm not sharing this for like sympathy or to get like anything like that. This is strictly like this is such a big part of me, and it is such a big part of why I am making a change. And I'm thankful that they appreciated that vulnerability. But you said you really have to read the room because you don't know how people are
hmm.
going to take it.
Yes, for sure. Well, you've done, I mean, some things, I mean, amazing, great things. Like you're finding a new passion, a new purpose, and one of those things being like the Promise Walk and getting certified with Mama's Voices as a patient family partner. What has it meant to you to use your voice and to be able to share about Lincoln?
I feel like I had said earlier, seeing people join our walk that like we don't know who you are. Like I have no idea how you even heard that this is happening, but just knowing that we're reaching other people is so huge to me. And also like the way I had phrased it to the hospital when we were talking about like creating that safe space, it was like I'd love to sit here and say that nobody else is going to go through what we just experienced. Like I would love to sit here and say no woman's ever going to get preeclampsia again, and like no baby is going to have life, like hopefully life-saving surgery in the NICU, and every parent's going to be able to walk out of the NICU with their baby, but like that's just not the reality. So I feel like my whole purpose at this point is just what can I do to make it, I don't want to say better because it's never going to be a good experience, but I always say like a little bit more comforting and a little bit more comfortable for people that are going to have to go through what we went through. So what can I do for them?
Yeah, you want to, how can you make their experience
Yeah,
better?
because it's going to happen. Like
Hmm.
it's the harsh reality that like again, like I wish I could say this would never happen again, but it is going to, and I if I can make it a little bit more comfortable than what we had, then I feel like success.
Hmm. What would you say to someone who's just like considering taking this journey and considering becoming a Mama's Voices patient family partner? Any words of advice for them?
I would say go for it. I feel like this, I got it in my email to like feel like it was a while ago now to it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago. Time is a weird thing in a grief journey. Everything feels like yesterday or like 20 years ago. I would say just totally go for it. I feel like I signed up really not knowing what to expect and what to come of it because again, this was a whole new world for me. And I threw myself in pretty quickly post all the trauma, but I would say go for it. And it can be such a healing experience. Like being able to meet other people that have gone through similar, even if it's not a similar experience to you, but have gone through something else that you can connect with them. And just knowing that, like, you're making something meaningful out of your story. So I would say don't hold back, go for it.
Yes, it's always being able to find people that really have walked your walk ahead of you and can help you guide you through that journey is helpful. So we're here. We're here and we're thankful to have a space where we can help others. So,
Totally.
well, is there any last thing to wrap up with? Any last thing you want to share with anybody or leave them with?
I think like what we talked about is so big, how it's like you really don't know where your life is going to take you and what is going to happen. I think about like my journey into motherhood and how I would have expected to have my baby, take my baby home, raise my baby, go back to work. Like your typical journey that you expect motherhood to be. And like now that's all up in the air. Like I don't know, but I'm still my journey through motherhood like is very different than what I expected it to look like. So I feel like just you have to accept that like things maybe not accept, but like things don't always go the way you planned and you never know where you're going to end up and what's going to happen. But not everything is meant to be because and not everything happens for a reason. Can't say that anymore.
Well, thank you, Alexis, for your time today and for sharing with us and everybody, Lincoln. I'm right there with you, and I know your Promise Walk is going to do some great things and excited
Thanks.
to see how much afterwards that it's just added to your healing.
Yeah, we're really excited. September 20th.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Thank you.